Hi, I'm Kelly with Bluewater Photo, and today I want to take a look at the brand new Olympus E-M1 Mark II camera. Olympus was the first to really revolutionize the underwater photography world with their line of mirrorless cameras, allowing people to get really excellent quality in a much smaller camera body. And since they released that first camera several years ago, they've just been making improvements after improvements. The E-M1 camera was awesome when it came out a couple years ago. It really brought the mirrorless line of cameras closer to those DSLRs with good focusing and faster shooting and a lot of great features. And now Olympus has really done it again. They've released a camera that looks to be really incredible and makes that gap between these mirrorless cameras and those high-end expensive DSLRs even smaller. In addition to the great improvements they made for the photo side of this camera, they've also made a lot of really good improvements for video. This is the first Olympus mirrorless camera that's going to allow you to shoot 4K video in the camera, which is really nice. It will make it much more appealing to some of those high-end videographers. And in addition, you can actually output uncompressed 4K recording to an external monitor like one of the Shogun recorders. It makes this camera really jump up a little bit in the line of mirrorless cameras, competing against the GH4 or upcoming GH5 and some of the Sony models that have shot 4K for a while. We're real excited to see how that all looks and works. In addition, they've made great improvements to the image stabilization on the E-M1 Mark II, which will be really helpful when shooting topside or for video recording, especially on that 4K, because the last thing you want is camera shake with really high def video. So let's take a look. I've got the camera here with me. I've had a chance to use it a little bit. I really like it so far. I like the improvements that Olympus has been making in this camera, and I really think it's going to end up being a great option for underwater photography. Inside the camera, they've made an improvement to the sensor. You now have a 20 megapixel live MOS sensor. All the Olympus mirrorless cameras previously were 16 megapixels, so this is a huge improvement for resolution. Will give you a little bit more room if you need to crop on a macro photo without really losing your resolution and quality. In addition, there's a brand new high-speed processor in here. Allows the camera to really use all the other features in terms of quick autofocus and high-speed shooting that they've crammed into this little camera. The sensor and processor combined really make this camera shine and really allow you to shoot at a professional level. The construction of the Olympus camera has also been improved. They made the grip a little deeper. Not something we worry too much about underwater since we've got it in a housing, but it is extremely comfortable topside. They've made the dials and some of the button placements a little bit different, as well as adding a few more customization features, such as being able to customize the 1-2 switch as an on-off switch, giving you full camera control with one hand, which can be really useful for the topside shooting if you use your cameras both underwater and topside. In addition to being fully weather sealed, just like all the other cameras, it has freeze-proof, shock-proof, splash-proof, all of those ratings, so it's a really rugged system to use when you're shooting topside. While we don't worry too much about that, since we're going to be putting this guy in a housing, for the overall control, they have changed several of the button design and layout, which does mean that all the camera manufacturers are going to be releasing new housing. So any hope of putting your new E-M1 Mark II in the old E-M1 housing is not going to happen, unfortunately. Let's look a little bit at the high-speed performance of this camera. It's one of the things Olympus has really been marketing with the new E-M1 Mark II. They've made vast improvements to their electronic shutter. This was introduced with the E-M5 Mark II camera, but did have some rolling shutter effect issues when you're shooting at high speed, as well as some video problems. The benefit to the electronic shutter is that it shoots silently, and it can also work faster than the mechanical shutter. Olympus has made some great improvements on the electronic shutter that's included in the E-M1 Mark II. It is much faster than the E-M5 Mark II's electronic shutter, and they've reduced or eliminated the rolling shutter effect when shooting at high speeds. This is really great because they've also increased the high-speed shooting rate when using that electronic shutter up to 60 frames per second. That makes it the fastest camera on the market of anything, and it is just incredible. It's going to be great for shooting high-speed action even underwater. If you're using the mechanical shutter, you are at 15 frames per second for the high-speed mode. Overall, really great looking performance out of this camera. They also increased the electronic viewfinder quality to be able to match this high-speed performance that you can get out of the shooting of the camera. It is very, very close to an optical viewfinder now. They've got a refresh rate of 120 frames per second, which is twice as fast as it was in the E-M1. They've also got a response time on the electronic viewfinder of 5 milliseconds, which is faster than the human eye can comprehend or pick up. So it really looks very, very good for an electronic viewfinder. In addition, one of the cool features that I'm excited to test out on this camera is their new Pro Capture mode. So making use of the high burst rate and the electronic shutter in the camera, they've developed a mode that it's not a scene mode like you would get so that you lose controls of the camera. It's actually kind of a focus mode, so you can still use it in full manual control, but you set this Pro Capture mode, and as soon as you press the shutter button halfway down like you would to focus it, the camera begins buffering images. Once you depress that shutter button, it's going to capture that exact image, but it also captures 14 frames before that as well. And that's great if you're shooting some of those behavior subjects where it's instantaneous, and if you are a half a second too late, you're going to miss the fish popping out of its hole, or you'll miss it grabbing that, smaller fish that it's eating. With this, if you do miss that shot, you have 14 frames ahead of it that most likely will allow you to have captured that action. Really cool feature. I think it could really make a difference for some of us when we're shooting those fast behaviors underwater. In addition to the high performance of this camera, they've really upped the autofocus so that you can capture your images more accurately, get more images in focus. It has the dual autofocus like the E-M1 had with both phase and contrast detection, but they've increased the camera to 121 autofocus points, and all of them are phase and contrast detection autofocus points, which is huge. The E-M1 had only 37. In addition, the E-M1 only had horizontal phase detection points, and the E-M1 Mark II has cross type, which means both horizontal and vertical. So no matter how you're moving the camera, it is able to focus and lock that focus much more accurately. This puts it really in line with some of the DSLR cameras that offer that phase detection, and should be really great for underwater use because we often lose contrast underwater, making it challenging for a camera to lock focus. Another great thing that I recently learned is you're actually not limited to which lenses the camera can focus on that phase detection. Previously, it only worked with certain lenses, and I've been told that the camera will work with both contrast and phase detection with any Olympus lens, possibly with some of the other manufacturers as well, which is awesome. So overall, I'm really excited to see how this camera performs underwater. The Olympus housing is already out. We'll have a separate video covering that. I know Nauticam and Aquatica will also be releasing their high-quality aluminum housings as soon as they can, so stay tuned for more information. If you want to learn more about this camera, please visit us at www.bluewaterphotostore.com or shoot us an email at sales@bluewaterphotostore.com. Thanks so much for watching the video.